Medicinal cannabis was made legal for prescriptions in November 2018. It's regarded as an important treatment for epilepsy sufferers. Approximately 60,000 children in the UK suffer from epilepsy, but the shocking truth is that no one has been prescribed medicinal cannabis on the NHS since the law changed. I'm Lucy Farrell, and as an epileptic, I've been learning about the use of medicinal cannabis as a treatment for childhood epilepsy. And I've discovered that children are unable to get this treatment and are being failed by the NHS. I've been busy talking to families struggling to get prescriptions for this legal medication and finding out why they're struggling.
It's a divide, isn't it? It's if you can afford it, you can have it privately. If you can't, then you can die. And that's the reality of it.
Yeah, and we're forced to do it.
And it could be the thing that saves our child, so any parent would do it.
I'm travelling to Newcastle upon Tyne to speak with a medicinal cannabis expert who has spent 15 years researching the plant's medical properties. He believes medicinal cannabis can decrease epileptic seizures when no other medication works.
Hi,
Hi.
Mike. I'm Lucy.
Lucy, good, come in.
Mike Barnes is a leading authority on medicinal cannabis in the UK. As a private consultant neurologist, his research report played a large part in the legalisation of the drug in 2018.
Well, basically, medicinal cannabis works. That's why it's a good medicine. It's not a brilliant medicine. It's not a cure-all. It's not a snake oil. It really helps, though, many different conditions with people with a whole range of disabling problems, from pain to anxiety to post-traumatic stress disorder, bowel conditions, spasticity, epilepsy. There's a whole range of things it helps. And we also know, of course, because many millions of people use it across the world, that it's safe.
There's well over 100 cannabinoids in the cannabis plant. The two most researched ones are CBD, which doesn't give you a high, and THC, which does give you a high. It makes me wonder what the risks of giving a child THC are.
But people are worried that giving that to children will cause them to get high. That's not the case at all, because CBD will counteract that effect of THC. So a little bit of THC with a large amount of CBD doesn't get you high, and there's no evidence it damages the developing brain like some people worry about as well.
I'm on my way to Preston to talk to a family who have been denied medicinal cannabis by the NHS and are now having to fundraise to pay for a private specialist doctor to see their son. Ben is a 9-year-old who suffers from severe epilepsy and autism.
You know, he's lived really with 80 to 100 seizures a day, but they can, when they flare up really bad and he has to have a hospital stay, go up to 300 a day.
Ben suffers with various types of seizures. Here he's having a head drop seizure,
Okay.
which he has multiple times while we're there.
Is he still in it, or is that him out?
Yeah, that's him out there. It's a head drop, that one. It's just gone.
So they can be that quick.
Yeah, just bang on. Yeah.
What things have you put into place to protect Ben in his daily life?
And downstairs, as you can see, we have bean bags in front of the fireplace and blankets over the cabinets to just try and protect him and the places he likes to go near the TV and things like that, really. He has a helmet, obviously, from the hospital to try and protect him because he has so many drop seizures as well as the tonics, but the drop seizures are the ones that are so quick you can't catch him, so he injures himself quite badly. Oh, he's gone. He's having a seizure. That's a tonic, so... Alright. Alright, okay, still in it.
Move your finger round your tummy. Move your finger round your tummy. Now, tickle.
Is he just coming out of it now?
Tickle.
No, his eyes are still deviated.
Because Ben has suffered from birth, he's gone through 12 different medications. This has set him back in his development. Ben is non-verbal, still in nappies, and lacks abilities his twin and siblings are able to do daily. Even though Ben takes 4 strong anti-epileptic drugs twice a day, every day, his seizures are still not under control. In 2014, the Griffiths family heard about cannabis oils and decided to try them.
We did our own CBD oil that you can buy online. Then a friend had been in Canada and had got some CBD oil from a clinic, and they offered it to us, and that worked marvellously because it was a regular continuous treatment that we were giving him, and for 9 months it is fantastic. His seizures were 6 or less a day.
Were you nervous about giving Ben somebody else's medication?
I tried that first before giving it to Ben because I wouldn't give my child something that was psychoactive in any way at all. And I tried it and there was no psychoactive effects. Everything was fine. So that's reassured me enough to give it to Ben.
As a result, they decided to ask their neurologist if they could get an NHS prescription for similar legal oils. The outcome came as a shock.
He'd been told by the trust he had to ask them, the lead neurologist, whether he could do that, which he did, and said, they've said it's got to go to a panel. Well, he wasn't allowed to be there, so he had to submit evidence as to why Ben needed it, and then they make the decision.
And what was their decision?
Their decision was no, because of the BPNA guidelines.
The British Paediatric Neurology Association were one of 2 bodies asked by the UK government to create guidelines medical professionals can look to when deciding to prescribe medicinal cannabis. Many people who struggle to get treatment have faced problems posed by these guidelines and the way the hospitals interpret them. What did you do when you got told no?
We then got offered a second opinion, and it was supposed to be expedited because Ben was so poorly. We then got a letter from Great Ormond Street from Finbar to say that he couldn't prescribe medicinal cannabis outside of his area because Ben was being so poorly with his seizures. We went to see a private doctor, and the private doctor saw Ben for an hour and a half, looked at all his notes and scans and things, and decided that Ben did need medicinal cannabis.
Ben is finally getting the treatment he needs, but with no thanks to the NHS. The private treatment is going to cost the Griffiths family more than £1,300 a month, and this will rise as the dosage increases monthly. I'm off to find out if it's the same story around Britain. Are families being forced to break the law to get the treatment their child needs? Charlie is 21 months old. He was diagnosed at 10 weeks with infantile spasms or West syndrome, a form of epilepsy.
300 children are diagnosed with infantile spasms a year in the UK. So clinicians and GPs aren't really aware of it. There's lots of GPs around the UK, so our GP had never heard of it, never seen it. Fortunately, our hospital said, she's just had a seizure now. So that's as you can see, it usually, because this is what's called a tonic spasm. So again, if he was able to walk, he can't walk, but you can see that would be, not good if he was walking around. Would it, little man? Mm-hmm. And they come in clusters, so usually you can have, he's had clusters of up to 40 in one cluster. At the moment they tend to be around 10.
Having these spasms daily is holding Charlie back in his crucial first years of development.
He can't walk, he can't crawl, he hasn't got any fine motor skills.
It's not just Charlie that is impacted by epilepsy. As first-time parents, Matt and Ali have found it socially isolating as many people are unaware of West syndrome, even doctors.
The pressure from social media of other parents with their photographs of their
well children that are doing milestones of things that your child cannot do yet. You also have the added pressure of the condition with having to watch your child have seizures, having to go through all the various drugs that you're on, adding in drugs, reducing drugs, whether they're making a difference. You cannot remember not having stress. It's just our normal now is stress, constant stress. There is really no joy in life.
Charlie has taken 7 anti-epileptic drugs since diagnosis. He's been on the ketogenic diet and a vitamin B trial, and he's not even 2 years old. Their neurologist is yet to prescribe medicinal cannabis for Charlie, and once again the guidelines seem to be a big problem.
So she's towing the line as into the guidelines. I think she's got an open mind, but I think she's unclear as to full extract cannabis. Our paediatric consultant, though, he feels that there's nothing else really to offer at the moment. She said that if she could, she would prescribe, but that there was no product available on the NHS list, which is a fact. It isn't on the list, but it's not factual in that it can still be prescribed. So she can prescribe it, and then the pharmacist would arrange for it to be imported. And he's having more clusters.
The difficulty the Hughes face is that doctors feel Charlie's epilepsy should be worse before they can treat it with cannabis.
Until his condition transitions completely to Lennox-Gastaut syndrome, then he can be prescribed it, which is ridiculous. You shouldn't have to be waiting for a condition to get worse before you can have access to a drug.
They have now resorted to their last option of finding a private doctor in Holland and travelling there to see if they can prescribe Charlie medicinal cannabis. But does breaking the law bother them?
And we've got the evidence that he needs it. We've got all his medical records, and he desperately needs it. So if they were to arrest us, fine, do it. But I will be going to the media, and I imagine there'll be quite a big outcry.
Well, we're forced to do it, aren't we?
Yeah, and we're forced to do it.
And it could be the thing that saves our child, so any parent would do it.
Should parents, like Matt and Ali, have to criminalise themselves for the health of their son?
I think there's a lot we need to do. The law is very good, but we need the doctors to prescribe. So how are we going to do that? Are we going to put on education programs? That's what we really need. We've just produced some new, more reasonable guidelines, in my view. So that's helpful, that's done. So doctors can read those and understand a little bit and think, well, it's right to prescribe. Underneath all that, at the same time, we need more research. And I agree with everyone who says there's not enough evidence. At the moment, there isn't enough evidence. I think there's enough evidence to prescribe, but we need to accumulate more evidence about lots of other conditions.
Unfortunately, these stories aren't rare cases. Thousands of children are suffering around the UK. Worldwide research shows cannabis is a valid medicine and has been proven to help children with epilepsy. These children are desperate and deserve better from our NHS.